details about Uncharted Lost Legacy have been released, and this has made many people excited. The trailer looks good and seems to hint at another good fun adventure within the series, but this time with characters we know a little less about. I really enjoyed the Uncharted games, particularly Uncharted 4 last year, so any new content, sequels or DLCs will have me somewhat excited. There is no denying that Naughty Dog struck gold with the series because the games are polished and provide really fun and worthwhile experiences. However, providing the Uncharted series with some much deserved praise is not the point I wanted to discuss in this video. Rather, I wanted to focus on one of the details released about Lost Legacy that has also been receiving some attention: its oddly high price. Uncharted Lost Legacy will be launched with a selling price of $39.99, which is 2/3 of the price of a normal video game. It was originally intended to be a DLC package for Uncharted 4, but after developers saw how much content they had for the DLC installment, they decided to make it a standalone game. Obviously, there are quite a few people out there who aren't exactly happy about this and think that Sony and Naughty Dog are trying to capitalize on the popularity of the Uncharted series by giving the title such a high price. This notion kind of had me thinking about whether it is fine to charge a high price for DLC if it does include a significant amount of content. Before we really get into this discussion, let's get some facts straight about Uncharted Lost Legacy. Although the title was first seen as a DLC, it is very much its own game now, even receiving its own physical release and box art, as well as previously mentioned, a price more akin to that of a normal video game as opposed to DLC. Gamers that bought the season pass for Uncharted 4 at near $25 last year will still be entitled to download the game as DLC. However, everybody else will have to pay the higher price tag for the game when it is released, as the season pass is now no longer available. It is easy to see why some may view this action as somewhat anti-consumerist, as now players who didn't invest in the season pass, perhaps because they wanted to see the quality of the DLC before it was released, will now have to pay more for the DLC than what was initially expected. But then Naughty Dog have probably also spent more time on Lost Legacy than they would had it been a regular DLC, which obviously brings up costs due to the extra resources being expended on trying to provide a fuller experience, more akin to that of a new video game as opposed to that of regular DLC. But does this give them the right to charge more for a game that was initially intended to be DLC but now isn't anymore? It is a very hard question to answer, because once again it deals with the idea of how much content is enough content. Different gamers have different answers to this question. Some tend to focus more on quantity, whereas others tend to place more focus on quality. Some gamers don't have a problem paying full regular price for a game that is 10 to 12 hours long, but provides a more fulfilling experience than a game that is 100 hours long would ever be able to. There are some gamers out there that don't believe that even Uncharted 4 should have been sold at a full price because the game is about 15 to 20 hours long. They believe that the short length should have dictated a lower price for the title. Such arguments tend to often come with comparisons to other games that did things differently or better in the eyes of the person making the argument. For example, another game or expansion rather that is also 20 hours long is the Blood and Wine expansion for The Witcher 3, which was sold at $25, the initial price for the Uncharted 4 season pass. I'll be surprised if Lost Legacy is 20 hours long itself, despite the fact that more is being charged for it. The Witcher 3's Blood and Wine expansion was highly praised for its quality and length, with it being longer than some actual full-length video games nowadays. But is it really fair to compare two games of two completely different genres and expect the same conduct from the developers of these games? I don't think so, due to the style and nature of each game. To be honest, games such as Call of Duty and Battlefield have often been criticized for providing season passes at high prices and with very little content, but the hours some players spend on these DLC maps often trumps the amount of time that many would spend playing through a regular full-length video game. But do players look at that when buying the DLC for these games? Probably not, or else everybody would be saying how fantastic Activision and EA are for providing such worthwhile season passes and DLC deals. Personally, I am not all that fazed about Lost Legacy having the price that it does. This is not because I'm some crazed Uncharted fan or something, but rather that I didn't read all that much about about Lost Legacy prior to now, and always thought that it was going to be its own standalone game within the Uncharted universe. I won't lie that the knowledge that the title was originally meant to be a DLC and isn't anymore makes me somewhat skeptical about the game's length, but that's probably why I'll wait for reviews before I buy it. Honestly, I don't really have a problem paying full price for a video game that provides an amazing experience, even if it is only 12 hours long. However, there are clearly gamers out there that don't feel this way, and that's fine because it's all based on personal opinion. What do you think? Do you think that the price tag for Uncharted Lost Legacy is too high? Do you think that shorter games should have lower price tags? Please share in the comments down below. And if you like this video, please remember to subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.